The restaurant's crystal chandeliers reflected like scattered diamonds across the marble floor. Waiters glided by in crisp white shirts, their polished shoes whispering against the tiles. It was the kind of place where everyone seemed to belong, except her. Clara Wynne adjusted her lap blanket, making sure the fabric covered the metal frame of her wheelchair. The restaurant's gentle hum of laughter and clinking glasses did little to ease the knot in her stomach. She wasn't supposed to be here, not really. Her best friend, if that's what Lily still was, had set her up on this blind date, insisting she get out and live a little. But the nervous giggles and side glances Clara caught between Lily and her co-workers before she left told a different story, a sickening one. "It'll be hilarious," she'd overheard them whisper. "He's this rich guy, total perfectionist. Wait till he sees who he's meeting." The words had burned into her like fire. Clara had been paralyzed from the waist down for 3 years now, ever since the accident that stole her ability to dance, to run, to walk through life unnoticed. Some days, she still woke up reaching for legs that didn't move. Other days, she reminded herself that her worth wasn't measured in steps. Still, tonight, as she sat alone at the corner table, she couldn't help but feel the weight of pity, or worse, mockery, pressing down on her. She glanced at the clock on her phone. 7:43 p.m. Her supposed date was 13 minutes late. Maybe that was a mercy. Maybe he'd realized the setup was cruel and decided not to come. But just as she was about to text Lily that she was leaving, the air in the room shifted. The doors opened and in walked a man who seemed to draw every eye without trying. He wore a dark suit, his tie slightly loosened, his hair a little mussed, the kind of imperfection that looked intentional. But it wasn't his looks that made Clara's breath catch. It was the expression on his face. He looked tired, like someone who'd fought 100 silent battles and still got up every morning for one reason only. The hostess led him toward her table. "Mr. Ryland Pierce?" she asked. He nodded politely. "Yes, I'm meeting someone. Clara?" Her stomach twisted. He actually came. Clara's hands trembled slightly as she reached up in greeting. "That's me, Clara Wynne." Ryland's gaze flicked to her wheelchair, just for a moment. Most people froze there, fumbling for the right reaction. But instead, he smiled, warm and genuine, and took the seat across from her without hesitation. "Clara," he said, extending his hand across the table. "It's good to meet you." She hesitated, startled by his ease, then placed her hand in his. His grip was firm, his palm calloused, the kind of touch that belonged to someone used to holding the world together by sheer will. "I hope I'm not too late," he added. "My babysitter canceled last minute, so I had to get my little girl settled with my mom." That made her blink. "You have a daughter?" "Yeah," he said, a small, tired smile playing at his lips. 6 years old. Smartest kid I know. Something softened inside her. The confident CEO she'd expected seemed suddenly human, just a father trying to do his best. "So," he continued, "how do you know Lily?" Her throat tightened. "She's a co-worker. We used to be close." Ryland nodded slowly, studying her with a kind of quiet awareness. "Used to be?" Clara tried to smile, but it faltered. "Let's just say she thought this dinner would be fun." He tilted his head. "Fun?" The word came out careful, like he already suspected the truth. But Clara couldn't bring herself to explain, not yet. Instead, she lifted her water glass with slightly unsteady hands. "So, you're a CEO?" He chuckled softly. "Is it that obvious?" "Lily mentioned it," she said, forcing lightness into her voice. "Single dad, successful, mysterious. Sounds like a magazine headline." Ryland grinned, but his eyes carried a trace. They set up the paralyzed girl as a joke on a blind date, until the single dad CEO took her hand and... Part 2. The confrontation. The laughter stopped the moment Ryland Pierce reached their table. Lily froze mid-giggle, her hand hovering above her phone. The two women beside her looked like they'd just been caught shoplifting in church. Ryland didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence alone filled the room like thunderclouds before a storm. "Something funny?" he asked evenly, his gaze fixed on Lily. Her smirk faltered. "Oh, no. We were just... It's nothing, really. Just a joke between friends." He leaned a little closer, voice calm but cutting. A joke? You think humiliating someone in public, a woman who trusted you, is a joke? Color drained from Lily's face. We didn't mean it like that. Clara knows we're just playing around. Ryland's jaw tightened. She's sitting over there thinking she's the punchline. You should be ashamed. For a moment, the table fell silent. A few diners had turned to watch. Lily stammered something about misunderstanding, but Ryland didn't wait. He took her phone, turned it face up on the table, and deleted the photos she'd snapped. His tone stayed quiet, but every word struck like ice. If I ever see these pictures anywhere, online, in your little group chat, anywhere, I'll make sure your employer hears about it. Understood? Lily nodded, eyes wide. He stepped back, his expression unreadable. Good. Then you can start fixing this by apologizing. Lily hesitated, swallowing hard. Slowly, she turned in her seat toward Clara's table across the restaurant. Clara sat frozen, cheeks pale, hands trembling slightly in her lap. I'm sorry, Lily managed, her voice thin. It was stupid. Clara didn't say anything. She didn't trust herself to. She just looked down, eyes glistening, the apology sounding more like embarrassment than remorse. Ryland returned to their table without another word. When he sat, the air felt heavy, like something sacred had just been broken. Clara looked at him, her throat thick. You didn't have to do that. He met her gaze calmly. Yes, I did. But now everyone's staring. Let them. His voice softened, but his eyes still burned with quiet anger. You don't let people treat you like that, Clara. Not ever. Her lips parted, but she couldn't speak. For years, she'd been overlooked, dismissed, pitied, and now, for the first time, someone hadn't just seen her. He'd stood up for her. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded, and after a long pause, his expression softened again. You deserve better friends. She gave a faint, self-deprecating laugh. I don't have many of those these days. Well, Ryland said, his mouth curving into a gentler smile, maybe we can change that. The tension slowly melted. The waiter brought their food. Roasted salmon for her, steak for him, and soon the restaurant's hum returned. But beneath the surface, something deeper had shifted between them. When Clara finally found her voice again, she asked, Why did you come tonight? I mean, blind dates aren't really a CEO thing, are they? Ryland chuckled softly. Maybe not, but my assistant's been nagging me for months, says I need to get a life. I told her I already have one. My daughter, my work, that's enough. And yet here you are, she said, smiling faintly. He met her eyes, something unreadable flickering behind them. Maybe fate wanted me here tonight. She looked down at her hands, unsure what to say. Fate. She hadn't believed in that for a long time, not since the accident that took her legs and her dreams in one brutal second. Tell me something, he said after a moment. What do you do? Lily mentioned you were a designer. Freelance graphic design, she said, relaxing a little. Mostly small clients. I used to work in a big firm, but the building wasn't exactly wheelchair-friendly. His brow furrowed. So they just let you go? They set up the paralyzed girl as a joke on a blind date until the single dad CEO took her hand and... Part 3. The second meeting. 3 days had passed since that unforgettable dinner, and Clara still couldn't stop replaying it in her mind. The confrontation, Ryland's steady voice, the way his eyes softened when he said goodnight. She'd told herself not to expect anything. People said nice things in the heat of emotion all the time. But then, on the morning of the 4th day, her phone buzzed with a text message. Ryland Pierce. Morning, Clara. Any chance I could tempt you with coffee today? My daughter insists she wants to meet the lady who made Dad laugh. Clara stared at the screen, a grin spreading before she could stop it. The lady who made Dad laugh. She hesitated for only a second before replying. Clara. Coffee sounds perfect. Just tell me when and where. The cafe Ryland chose wasn't the upscale kind she expected from a CEO. It was small, cozy, a corner spot with soft jazz playing and the smell of freshly ground beans in the air. When she rolled through the door, Rylan was already there, dressed casually this time, black sweater, jeans, and the same easy smile that made her chest tighten in the best way. Beside him stood a little girl with honey blonde hair in braids and a sketchbook tucked under one arm. "Clara," Rylan said warmly, standing to greet her. "This is my daughter, Sophie." Sophie's eyes lit up. "Hi, you're really pretty." Clara blinked, laughing softly. "Well, thank you. You must be the famous artist your dad keeps talking about." Sophie beamed, proudly flipping open her sketchbook. Inside were drawings, colorful, messy, joyful. One of them clearly a man and a woman sitting at a table. "This is you and Daddy," Sophie said. "You're smiling in this one, so I know you're friends." Rylan's cheeks flushed faintly. "She's very observant," he murmured. They found a table by the window, sunlight spilling across the wooden floor. Sophie sat between them, busying herself with crayons and cocoa while Clara and Rylan talked. For the first time, Clara saw another side of him, not the CEO who commanded rooms, but the father who wiped chocolate from his daughter's chin and smiled like the world began and ended with her laughter. "She's incredible," Clara said softly as Sophie hummed beside them. "You're doing an amazing job." He smiled, a little wistfully. "I'm trying. Her mom passed away when she was 2. Some days I feel like I'm making it up as I go." Clara's chest tightened. "I'm sorry. That must have been hard." "It was. Still is sometimes." His gaze dropped to his coffee cup. "But Sophie's my reason for everything. She keeps me honest and human." They sat quietly for a moment, the kind of silence that wasn't awkward, just peaceful. Sophie broke it by tugging on Clara's sleeve. "Do you ever paint?" "Not really," Clara said. "But I design things on my computer. Logos, posters, websites. Sort of like drawing, just digital." Sophie's eyes widened. "That's so cool. Can you show me sometime?" Clara smiled. "I'd love to." Rylan watched the exchange, his expression softening even further. There was something about Clara that calmed the room, a quiet strength that drew people in without demanding attention. He'd met hundreds of people through work, confident, polished, practiced, but none of them made him feel what she did. With Clara, he didn't have to perform, he could just be. When Sophie went to the counter to order another cookie, Rylan leaned in slightly. "I hope this isn't too forward, but I'm really glad you came." Clara met his gaze. "I wasn't sure I should." "Because of what happened?" She nodded faintly. "That night was hard. I didn't want to be someone's pity project." "Clara," he said firmly, his voice low but full of warmth.